Hello and welcome to Bay Area News. Today's segment we will be talking about global warming with our expert Matthew Sanchez.
Oh, hi Robert. Now today's segment that we'll be talking about is global warming. Right now, today's date is November 11th, 2017, and guess what? People still don't believe in global warming. They still think it's a joke. Wake up people, global warming is real and should be taken seriously. And now today, we're going to talk about the effects of global warming and what it has been doing to our environment. First of all, we're going to start off with temperature. Alright, now that we're talking about temperature, we're talking about our Earth heating up and getting extremely hot. You know what that means? That means everything is going to be over 100 degrees at certain parts where it shouldn't be. And guess what happens? People are going to die. Miss Keisha is dead. You know why? Because it got way too hot. She couldn't find any water. Everything is dehydrated. As you can tell around us. Look at this. Look at this place. Everything's slowly dying because there's no water. Guess what? Because it got too hot. And this is what global warming is doing. It's making Earth too hot. And guess what happens when it gets too hot? Our ice caps are going to melt. And you know what that means? Our rising sea levels are going to get higher and higher. Now, according to this article from NASA, by 2100, we're going to have sea levels rise from 1 to 4 feet. You know how high 1 to 4 feet is? It's enough to drown cities that are at sea level. Like, look at these ducks. They're going to be over here because of rising sea levels. Now, guess what? When rising sea levels happen, people living in the Bay Area are going to have to move. And I know most people don't want to move because they already been here for years and on years. And this is what global warming is doing to us. Now, if global warming wasn't a big problem, then why does National Geographic have a video on it?
For 2.5 million years, the Earth's climate has fluctuated, cycling from ice ages to warmer periods. But in the last century, the planet's temperature has risen unusually fast, about 1.2 to 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists believe it's human activity that's driving the temperatures up, a process known as global warming. Ever since the Industrial Revolution began, factories, power plants, and eventually cars have burned fossil fuels such as oil and coal, releasing huge amounts of carbon dioxide and other gases into the atmosphere.
Now, our Earth is our only Earth, and their video shows why we are killing it slowly. We need to preserve our Earth because this is where we live, and where else are we going to go? Alright, now for our next topic that we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about CO2. And guess what? Our cars are the main reason to why there's so much CO2 in the air. And you know why? It's because of our exhaust. These things are emitting so much CO2 in the air, and especially since we have so many gas cars, not enough electric cars or hybrid cars, there's too much CO2 going in the air. Now if we had hybrid cars or electric cars, these cars don't put that much CO2 out in the air, and therefore our sun won't be heating up the Earth so much because the CO2 is trapping in all the heat. Now some might ask why this is a problem, and this is because when CO2 gets trapped in our atmosphere, it traps the heat from the sun, therefore keeping heat on the Earth. And what that means is our Earth is going to get a lot hotter. And so basically, during the summer when it gets really, really hot, it might exceed 100 degrees in certain areas that it shouldn't be, and that's a bad thing. Now from this peer-reviewed article called A Human Scale Perspective on Global Warming, Zero Emissions, it states that if we were to have a whole year without emissions, we could remove 5 tons of CO2 from our atmosphere, and that could greatly save our Earth. And now we're going to get a local resident to be interviewed on his opinions about global warming. Sir, do you have the time to talk about global warming?
Yes, I do.
Now, what is your opinions on global warming?
I think it's a bad thing. To be honest, I think that this country isn't doing enough to stop or to prevent global warming, and things are dying because of it, as you can see. And I think that in order to prevent global warming, we need to do more, and we shouldn't rely as much on the government. We should do stuff ourselves.
Do you think our president should talk more about global warming because he thinks global warming isn't real?
Yes.
Thank you for your time. And now, back to you.
thank you, Matthew, for that very valuable information and inspirational talk about global warming. And now for you, the viewer, it is up to you if you want to take action and help save our Earth. Global warming is real, and there are many things that we need to do to change so that it slows down. Thank you, and good night.